Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Happy Giving Tuesday. We know that there are so many worthy causes to support today, so we are especially thankful that you are taking the time to join us for this event. And we're truly grateful for your support. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Hannah Song, and I'm the CEO here at Liberty in North Korea. We are an international NGO and a global movement of people from North Korea, South Korea, the United States, and beyond. Together, we're working to advance freedom for all North Koreans, and we do this by increasing access to information and technology for North Korean citizens, rescuing North Korean refugees, and empowering them to be agents of change, and mobilizing international support and solidarity. Ultimately, we believe the North Korean people can win their freedom and it can be in our lifetime. So that's why we're here today to help support making that vision a reality. So, before we jump into things, just a few quick housekeeping reminders. So, we want to spend as much time as possible answering your questions. If you've joined us before, the time always goes so quickly. So, please feel free to start dropping any questions that you might have for our speaker, Hannah O, in the chat. My colleague Stephanie is in there right now, and she'll be chatting with all of you and gathering all of your questions. To get things started in the chat room, you can also go ahead and just drop in some comments about where you're joining us from or what brought you here. Next, we found that the quality is usually better when you're tuning in from your computer instead of your phone. So if for some reason you're having any issues with your sound or your screen freezing, you can try leaving the event and just rejoining. And lastly, we do have the live captioning enabled. So if you want to use that, be sure to turn that on. And if you're having any issues, go ahead and send us a quick message in the chat. All right, let's get into it. So I'm very excited to introduce our special guest today, Hannah Oh. Hannah was born in North Korea and she escaped in 2019. She is currently a fourth year student at Hongik University studying electrical and electronic engineering. While she was participating in Link's Changemaker Scholarship Program, she actually worked on developing devices and strategies that could help increase information access for people inside North Korea. Earlier this month, she wrapped up her time with us as a Link Advocacy Fellow, where she traveled around the US advocating for the North Korean human rights issue and sharing her story at universities, Fortune 500 companies, and to key policymakers in Washington, D.C. Today, we're also joined by my colleague Chris Song, who will be helping with interpretation. So, Chris is actually our director of programs, and she oversees all of our incredible capacity building programs, including our Advocacy Fellows program. Thank you both so much for being here with us tonight. I know that you're actually both joining from Seoul, so it's actually Wednesday morning for you, but welcome and happy Giving Tuesday. All right. Hi, Hannah. It's good to see you. It's been a little while, actually.
Hi.
All right, to get things started, Hannah, would you mind sharing a little bit about your story with everyone?
Uh, Hello everyone. I was born in Pyongyang, a northern city near the Tuman River. Winters were very cold and electricity was not guaranteed. My father was a high school physics teacher who believed that loyalty and hard work could provide for his family. But he couldn't secure enough food from state rations. Like many families in North Korea, my mother began trading goods in the market for us to survive. Her, her desire to give us a better future pushed her to attempt something the regime considered unforgivable for escape. She tried 3 times, and each time she was caught and put in a labor camp. I was only 13 when I first visited her, bringing her food because in North Korea, families are responsible for feeding their imprisoned relatives. Seeing my mother treated like a criminal for wanting a better life was the moment I realized that something was deeply wrong. But as a child, all I could feel was confusion and anger. In North Korea, punished it uh, punish punishment is given to multiple generations of your life, so we'll all paid for the choices. My brother lost the opportunities and we were branded traitors. But on my mother's fourth attempt in 2013, she finally made it to South Korea. She worked She worked hard to support us from after and slowly she became my window into another world. Through a smuggled Chinese saffron, I learned new words, new ideas, and for the first time, I learned that life could be different. While in North Korea, I watched a South Korean sitcom, even though it was lightly illegal, and my worldview opened. In one episode, a man a man fell into debt, but his family wasn't punished. Seeing that changed everything for me. This was a proof that people could choose their own path and that society couldn't crush that for it, them for it. If something as simple as a sitcom held this much power, what else was out there? But daily life was still hard. I dreamed of going to university, but because my mother defected, I was denied. I used my computer skills to survive, code, Photoshop, photography, and even volunteered for dangerous construction work, hoping it could earn me a future. Instead, I found myself demolishing, bu- demolishing buildings in minus 4-degree weather, sleeping in a freezing basement, and realizing the truth. My mother hadn't escaped for comfort. She escaped to live like a human being. In 2019, I made the same choice. With the help of liberty in North Korea, I escaped and reunited with my mom in South Korea. But freedom brought new challenges. I struggled with a new education system, a different version of history, and even a new computer keyboard. My confidence collapsed, but science became my breath. Math, chemistry, physics were the same no matter which side of the border I stood on. Today, I'm studying electrical engineering, determined to be part of a future where knowledge and technology can connect North and South Korea. This year, I had the opportunity to participate in links of the Advocacy Fellow program in the United States, which gave me valuable experience and new perspectives. I am now taking a leave of absence and will return to school in September next year. During this break, I am focusing on preparing for future employment and improving my English, while also working a part-time job to support myself. Although I'm back in Seoul now, I'm excited to have this opportunity to share my journey with all of you here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Hannah. I know that you mentioned that you were rescued by Link in 2019, and hopefully it's okay with you, but I wanted to share with everyone a little bit of a kind of wild backstory about your rescue story. So you were actually involved with Link's program since resettling in 2019, but it wasn't until this past summer when you joined our Advocacy Fellows program that we discovered that you were actually rescued by Link. And we'll get into that story in a minute. But Hannah, after resettling, how did you first get involved with Link and with our programs?
링크의 프로그램을 어떻게 이렇게 처음에 참여하게 됐나요?
음, 링크를 알게 된 거는 이제 그 북한에 인포메이션을 보내는 그런 일을 하시는 IT 업계에 이제 미국을 비롯한 뭐 다른 나라에서 일하시는 분들이 모인 서밋에서 이제 링크라는 단체를 조금 더 알게 됐고 거기에서 링크 관계자분을 알게 돼서 맨 처음에 참가한 그러니까 프로그램은 이제 렐프라는 잉글리시 프로그램이었습니다.
So the first time I got to know about Link is when I participated in like a conference where all the groups and organizations that work on information dissemination into North Korea. That's when I actually ran into somebody who works at Link, somebody who works on this issue. And through him, I got to know about Link, the organization, and also I got to participate in LEOP. That was the first time I got to participate in a Link program.
Got it. And LUP is our English language program. And why did you decide to join our Advocacy Fellows program?
그러면 Advocacy Fellow 프로그램에는 왜 참가하려고 했나요?
사실은 이제 대학원을 생각을 하고 있어서 미국에 대한 경험도 없었고, 또 이제 미국에 가서 공부하고 싶은 마음은 큰데, 그런 경험이 아예 없었기 때문에 개인적으로는 이제 너무나도 큰 기회였고, 근데 이제 어드보커시 팔로우 프로그램에 참여하면서 이제 개인의 경험을 떠나서 뭔가 북한 사람들을 알리고 그들이 관심받을 수 있는 일을 하게 돼서 정말 좀 뜻깊은 그런 경험이 됐던 것 같습니다.
So I had been considering going to the US for grad school, but I didn't know much about America, but I knew I had the desire to study in the US, and I felt like there was a great opportunity for me to get to know more about the US. But after participating in the program, I think it was more than just a personal experience that benefited myself, but I felt like it provided an opportunity for me to share stories about North Korea and also for people to be more interested in the North Korean issues. And that was a very meaningful experience for me.
Yeah, so after Hannah joined our Advocacy Fellows program, as a fellow, we have a series of trainings to learn more about Link's work, including our rescue work. And while they were undergoing that training, our field manager was actually sharing with our fellows about Link's free passage model and also the standards and accountability that we maintain in our underground networks and just how different rescue networks in the Underground Railroad operate differently. And so as many of you, as our supporters already know, anyone that comes through Link's network, it's always with no cost, no condition. They never pay a single dollar or have to sign a contract or undergo any type of program in order to receive our help in escaping. And, as we prioritize the safety and security of each person that's coming through our network, we try our best to move them as quickly as possible to mitigate those risks. And so, as Hannah was describing her own escape to the fellow, amongst the fellows, and to our field manager, it started to sound very similar to the experience of others who had come through our networks, including one detail that is particularly unique to how Link operates. And so when our field manager heard that, decided, let's look up your real name and the date of your escape in our records. And we actually confirmed that Hannah had indeed been rescued by Link. And she had not known because her mom, who had escaped before her, had been the one to make all of the arrangements for her escape. Additionally, when we operate in the Underground Railroad, we do not operate under Link's name at all. We operate nameless. Our networks are not known to be associated or affiliated to Liberty in North Korea, as a safety precaution and as a security measure as well. And so, Hannah, that must have been pretty surprising to find that out as you're sitting there talking to our field manager as a fellow for our program. What was that like for you to learn about the fact that you connected to the network, you were able to connect with us, and that you were going to be going on the road as an advocacy fellow, sharing your story?
이렇게 연결되고 또 같이 이렇게 애드vocacy로 이렇게 같이 저희랑 같이 프로그램을 하게 되는 거에 대해서 어떻게 생각하셨냐고 물어보셨어요.
사실 이제 대표님도 앞에서 그런 트레이닝을 거쳐서 저희가 프로그램을 시작하게 되는데, 그 과정에서 제가 링크를 통해서 구출이 되었다는 사실을 알고, 그때부터는 이제 오로지 그냥, 내가, 나처럼 또 누군가가 이렇게 구출될 수 있고, 저도 몰랐던 사실을 알게 됐던 만큼 누군가에도 그렇게 또 힘이 될 수 있고, 희망이 될 수 있는 일에 조금이나마 내가 참여할 수 있고, 이제 그들을 도울 수 있다라는 그런 생각 하나만으로 이제 프로그램에 임하게 됐고, 정말 너무 소름이 끼쳐서 어떻게 말로 대체를 할 수가 없는 것 같아요.
So I went through trainings provided by Hannah Song, and also from other Link staffers. And when I was going through this rescue training with the field manager, after I learned that I was rescued by Link, and I think from that point on, I think my goal for the program was to also to empower and also give hope to somebody who is just like me, that I can actually do something about this issue, and I can actually help somebody who might be in the same situation that I was, to provide help for them. So I think I got goosebumps just thinking that, and it was indescribable.
Coming back to the Advocacy Fellows program, which just wrapped up last month, what was one of the biggest things that you learned about yourself as an Advocacy Fellow?
본인이 애드버커시 펠로우 프로그램 통해서 자신에 대해서 알게 된 것 중에 가장 큰 것이 어떤 것이 있을까요?
이 프로그램이 어떻게 보면 이제 새로운 곳에서, 또 미국이라는 이제 낯선 곳에서 언어도 다른 그런 환경에서 적응을 하면서 이제 2달이라는 동안에 뭐 이제 뭐 링크를 알리고 또 북한 사람들의 생활을 알리는 그런 일을 하는 프로그램인데, 사실 걱정했던 거는 내가 거기서 잘 적응할 수 있을지, 또는 이제 그 언어가 잘 안 되기 때문에 그런 부분에서 걱정이 많았는데, 사실 그들이 너무 공감해주고 저의 이야기를 들어주고, 이제 좀 뭐 악센트나 발음도 많이 서툴 때도 많은데, 그럼에도 불구하고 같이 공감해주는 그런 것들을 통해서 뭔가 어떤 환경에서든 누군가를 이해하고 공감해줄 수 있다면은 이제 살아가는 환경이 만들어질 수 있겠구나라는 그런 관점을 얻게 된 것 같아요.
So this program provides an opportunity for me to be in a strange place, and also I had the goal of adjusting to a new place while participating in the program for 2 months. And, the program requires me to talk about North Korea and talk about Link as well. And I was worried about whether I would be able to adjust to this new life that I had to continue for the next 2 months. But I think that was just my own worries. But despite my the language barrier and also my accent or whatnot, people really empathized, and people were willing to hear our stories, and just about everything. They really wanted to hear me out. And I think what I learned that is that regardless of the environment that you're in, if there's somebody who's willing to listen and who's willing to understand your perspective, and I think then I can actually do something and I'll be able to live and adjust to that environment.
Do you have a favorite memory or event or something that was really special from the 2 month time that you were there? I know there was a lot of experiences, but maybe if you just picked like one or two that you really enjoyed.
6달 동안에 미국에서 생활 속에서 가장 기억에 남는 한두 가지 정도의 그런 경험이 있다면 어떤 것이 있을까요?
이제 2달 동안 하면서 정말 하루하루가 다 기억에 남을 만큼 이제 그렇게 다 소중한 날들이었는데, 그중에서도 가장 기억에 남았던 거는 이제 첫 이벤트, SMU 대학교에서 했던 그런 이벤트. 굉장히 이제 처음이고 많이 떨리고 전달력도 없을 때 그들이 모두 이제 40명이 넘는 관객들이 이제 공감을 해주고 저에게 이제 힘을 실어줬던 것처럼 해서 이제 그 이벤트가 가장 기억이 남고, 그리고 또 하나는 이제 LA에서 열린 갈라 이벤트에서 이제 많은 사람들이 모여서 즐겁게 이제 그 자리를 즐기면서도 또 북한 사람들을 위해서 어떠한 많은 돈들을 기부하고 그 돈들이 모여서 이제 저희들이 또 저 같은 사람이 구출될 수 있겠구나라는 생각을 가져서 그 두 가지가 가장 기억에 남습니다.
So every day I remember with such fond memories, and they're so precious to me. But what really stuck to me is my first event at the Southern Methodist University. That was our first event, so I was very anxious, very nervous. But and my delivery wasn't the best. But there were 40 people in the audience, and they really encouraged me and empowered me. So I think that event was very memorable for me. And another one is the gala event that we had in Los Angeles. And so just so many people gathered together and they were enjoying the evening, but at the same time, they really wanted to do something about the North Korean people. And a lot of donation was gathered. So I think that gave me hope that, more people will be rescued, more people will be helped. So I think that's also very memorable for me.
그리고 이제 그게 조금 더 설명하려면 갈라 이벤트가 그런 게 기억에 남는 이유는 사실 지금 막 뭐 북한 활동을 하는 그런 단체들이 계속 주로 NGO들도 이제 펀딩이 끊겨서 상황이 안 좋은 상황인데 그럼에도 이런 분들이 또 계셔서 후원을 해주시니까 그래도 희망이 생겨서 이게 영원히 끊기지 그래도 아직은 힘이 있고 그러니까 빛이 있구나라는 생각을 가져서 좀 기억에 남는 것 같아요.
And to just add a little more context to that is, I know that the funding has been cut for many other North Korean human rights organizations. So I know the situation hasn't been great this year. But I think when I saw so many people willing to donate, willing to still help out, and I think they gave me a lot of hope. And I feel like there's still light in the world.
Thank you, Hannah. And I know that I was there at the SMU event and you did a great job. I was really proud of the first event and super excited to see the first event and the last event. And it was incredible to see over the 2 months of events how much you guys had improved by the final event. And so it went by too quickly. Um, just a reminder to everybody that you can drop your questions into the chat for Hannah. We'll be getting to some of those soon. Um, Hannah, when you first arrived in Seoul in 2019, which, gosh, was really not that long ago at all, how was it to be reunited with your mom again?
2019년에 처음 한국에 도착했을 때에 어머니와 다시 이렇게 재회하게 됐을 때 어떠셨나요?
어, 이런 질문은 처음 받게 됐던 것 같은데, 사실 어머니랑 뭐 어릴 때도 이제 뭐 사실 6년 만에 다시 재회한 거기도 한데, 그 전에도 이제 엄마를 자주 본 기억은 없어서, 사실 엄마라는 사람이 어떤 사람인지는 잘 알지 못했는데, 한국에서 이제 만나게 되니까, 사실은 기쁘면서도 불안하기도 하고, 이제 서먹서먹하기도 하고, 그랬던 좀 만감이 교차하는 그런 시간이 있었던 것 같아요.
So I think this is actually my first time being asked this question. It was 6 years after since the last time I had seen her. But even when I was in North Korea, I didn't really get to see her that much because she was so busy. So I think I didn't really get a chance to really get to know the person who my mom was. So after we got reunited, I think I was really happy to see her, but also I had mixed feelings. I had some concerns. It was a little awkward as well. So I had some mix of so many emotions.
Yeah, I can't imagine, but thank you for sharing that. We had a question from Josh, and this was also a question that I had wanted to ask as well. But what was the biggest culture shock for you after you arrived in South Korea? And also, like, what really surprised you about South Korea when you got there?
한국에 오셨을 때에 이제 가장 큰 문화적인 충격이 어디서 왔는지 물어보셨어요. 어떤 것이 가장 놀라웠는지.
어, 아까 제가 뭐 자기소개를 잠깐 할 때 뭐 한국 이제 시트콤을 봤었다라고 해서 어떤 그런 드라마나 뭐 TV에 나오는 그런 쇼에서 볼 수 있는 환경, 그러니까 그런 데서 환경을 볼 수 있어서 막 그런 뭐 빌딩이나 당연히 빌딩이 높고 깨끗한 거리도 너무 놀라웠지만 그래도 한 번쯤은 봤던 것들이니까 이제 그렇게까지 놀랍지는 않았지만 이제 그 다양한 사람들이 각각의 이제 개성과 뭐 예를 들면 옷 스타일이라든지 머리 스타일이라든지 뭐 언어라든지 이런 것들을 이제 다 자연스럽게 그냥 본인이 하고 싶은 대로 표현하는 게 제일 놀라웠던 이제 문화 충격인 것 같아요.
So I mentioned it briefly in my introduction, and I had watched Korean dramas and sitcoms when I was in North Korea. So I got to see the type of environment, the environment that Korean people live in, South Korean people live in, like high rises and also very clean streets. So I think those, when I first saw them, were also very surprising. But I had also seen them in Korean TV shows, so it wasn't that surprising. But what really surprised me is just the diversity among the people, just in their fashion style, the clothes that they wear and their hairstyles and also the language that they use. It was just so different from each other. And they were able to express them also very freely. And that was very surprising to me.
So we have a question from Jacob. Were there any aspects of life in North Korea that you felt like people didn't understand after you left? Even maybe us at Link, or other people who work on this issue. Were there things about life in North Korea or maybe about the issue that people just didn't understand?
사람들이 그러면 이제 북한에 대해서 잘 이해하지 못하는 그러한 것들이 있을까요? 그러니까 북한의 생활에 대해서 아니면 북한의 이슈에 대해서 뭔가 보통 사람들이 잘 이해하지 못하는 그런 면들이 어떤 것이 있을까요?
제가 사실 어드보커시 팔로우를 하면서 그 사람 뭐 미국에서 활동을 하기는 했지만 그런 사람들이 사실 북한에 대해서 그러니까 그 사람들이 살아가는 환경에 대해서 아예 모르는 경우들이 이제 제가 느끼기에는 뭐 80% 이상이었던 것 같아서 사실 뭐 잘 이해하지 못한다를 떠나서 그냥 잘 모른다인 것 같습니다.
어떤 면을, 어떤 면에서
예를
그럴까요? So just to answer the
쎄-
question. So as I was doing the Advocacy Fellows program, I think it's not that they didn't really understand, things about North Korea. I think the general public don't just know much about North Korea in general. I think that's the sentiment that I got.
어떤 거라고 이제 딱히 지금 뭐 생각나는 게 딱히 없는데 사실 제가 그냥 대학교에 들어갔을 때 친구들 만났을 때 경험을 얘기하자면 이제 친구들이 내가 북한에서 왔다라고 얘기를 했을 때 그러면은 거기서 수학을 공부했는지 어떤 공부를 하는지 또 이제 이제 고등학교나 중학교에서 어떤 놀이를 하는지 그들은 이제 어떤 관심사를 갖는지 이런 것들에 대해서 물었던 적이 있는데 저희도 제가 생각했을 때는 뭐 당연히 살아가는 환경이 이제 뭐 험하고 먹는 것도 힘들고, 그래서 하루하루 살아가기에 힘든 환경임에도 불구하고, 그래도 이제 친구들과의 어떠한 뭐 정이라든지 또 그들끼리 모여서 노는 그때만에 할 수 있는 그런 뭐 게임이라든지 그런 것들도 있고, 당연히 이제 뭐 또 오래전에 북한을 나오신 분들은 북한에 핸드폰이 있는지 컴퓨터가 있는지 진짜 있는 게 맞는지 물어보실 때도 있는데, 네, 맞다고 저는 이제 얘기를 해주기는 합니다.
So it's hard to pinpoint exactly like what types of things that the people don't know about North Korea. But just to speak from my own experience, when I was in college, my friends, my classmates, when I told them that I was from North Korea, they asked me if I studied mathematics in North Korea and what types of subjects we study in North Korea, and what types of, I guess, games or plays we do in like middle school and high schools, and what people are interested in when they're, growing up in North Korea. But I think, life in North Korea is harsh. It's tough. It's challenging, and every day we have to live on like daily, food, and it's hard to survive in North Korea. But the friendship that you have and the relationship that you get to have with people, that's still the same. And also people who had come out from North Korea a long time ago, or people who only got to meet people from North Korea a long time ago, they asked me, "Oh, do North Korean people have cell phones now, or do they use computers?" And they even ask me, is that real? Is that really true that they have computers in North Korea? And I would tell them, yes, they do.
Since we're talking about inside North Korea, I wonder if you could share a little bit about maybe what you miss the most about North Korea.
북한에 대해서 얘기를 하고 있으니까, 그럼 하나 씨는 북한에 대해서 가장 그리운 것이 있다면 어떤 것이 가장 그립나요? 사운드 켜주세요.
예. 사실 이제 북한을 떠올리면은 가장 뭐 생각나는 거는 당연히 이제 가족들과 동네에서 이제 같이 뛰어놀던 친구들이 가장 그립고요. 그래서 뭐 환경은 이제 한국이 더 좋으니까 뭐 환경에 대해서 그리운 건 없지만, 이제 계절이 지나고 돌아올 때마다 그 계절만에 피었던 뭐 꽃을 본다든지 아니면 뭐 과일을 먹었다든지 이런 기억들은 이제 종종 생각이 납니다.
So when I think of North Korea, of course, I miss my families the most, and also just the friends that I got to hang out just in the neighborhood. That's what I miss the most. And also just the living environment in South Korea is so much better. So I don't really miss the living environment in North Korea. But as seasons change, I do miss the flowers that would bloom each season, and also the fruit that we got to eat in North Korea. So those are the things that I also remember fondly.
We have a few questions from people who are interested in the education system in North Korea. And so, what was education like in North Korea? Did you feel like there was anything in particular you missed, or that you were taught in a different way because of your upbringing there?
북한 내 교육 체제에 대해서 물어보신 분들이 있었는데요. 그 북한에서는 뭔가 다르게 가르치는 것들이 있는지, 어떻게 다르게 가르치는지 때문에 물어보셨어요.
이제 제가 한국에 와서 북한이랑 남한에서 가장 큰 교육의 이제 차이점을 느꼈던 거는 뭐 사회 과목이라고 하는 그런 것과, 그리고 역사들이나 이런 것들은 이제 현대 사회에서는 더 다르기도 하지만 그 전에 들어가서 이제 뭐 조선시대 때나 뭐 삼국시대 이런 역사적인 배경들도 많이 다르고, 그리고 이제 아직도 남아있지만 뭐 북한과 남한이 아직 전쟁이 누가 먼저 시작했는지 그런 것들도 완전히 바뀌었기 때문에 그런 것들이 엄청 많은 이제 충격이 됐었고요. 그리고 이제 사회 과목이라고 하면은 뭐 경제나 어떤 이런 것들을 가르치지만, 북한에서는 뭐 김씨 일가의 그런 어떤 역사나 뭐 그런 어떤 투쟁을 해왔는지에 대해서 가르쳐서 그런 것들이 가장 큰 차이점이라고 볼 수 있는 것 같아요.
I think the biggest differences that I realized was in the social science subjects. I think in the modern society, just they just teach different subjects, but it's also in the way they teach history, like from the Joseon Dynasty or the Three Country period. Those like historical background, they teach it very differently. And also, especially when they talk about the Korean War, from the North and South, who started the war first, it's very different how they teach in North Korea. So I think that was a shocking moment for me when I learned how it actually happened. And in social science in South Korea, they teach economy or, about the government and whatnot. But in North Korea, social science subjects mainly comprise of the history of the Kim family and what types of struggles and fights and, I guess the accomplishments that they have made over the years. That's what they focus more on.
While we're talking about education, I know that while you were in North Korea, you also studied, computers and coding and that kind of stuff as well. And so, what has the difference been like since studying that in North Korea and then coming to South Korea and continuing your education there? Can you talk a little bit about that difference?
북한에서도 컴퓨터와 코딩을 배우셨다고 하셨는데, 그걸 이제 또 한국에서 배우게 됐을 때에 어떠한 점이 가장 큰 차이점으로 느껴지셨나요?
음, 사실 저는 뭐 컴퓨터로 하는 일을 하고 싶어서 그쪽으로 조금 더 관심을 갖고 고등학교 때도 이제 동아리도 들어갔었고 그리고 나아가서 이제 뭐 사진관에서 일을 했지만 대부분의 사람들은 이제 공부를 뭐 이런 교육 과정이 있다고 해도 기억하지 못하는 사람들도 대부분인데 그 이유는 이제 학생들이 공부를 하는 시간보다 나가서 이제 저희 학교 같은 경우는 뭐 농장이랑 같이 있었기 때문에 방과 후에는 이제 공부를 해야 되는 게 아니라 나가서 이제 뭐 농사일을 도와주거나 밤 늦게까지나 주말에도 그렇게 해야 되기 때문에 학생들이 내가 대학교를 안 가면 공부를 왜 해야 되지? 근데 대부분은 대학교 가지 않기 때문에 이제 공부를 다 포기하고 있어서 저 역시도 어머니가 이제 한국에 있다는 이유로 대학교에 가지 못한다는 사실을 알게 됐기도 하고 또 리젝되기도 했었기 때문에 그렇게 자세하게 차이는 모르겠지만 거기서는 가르친다고 해도 그 받아들이는 사람으로서는 의미가 없다고 생각해서 사실 그런 것들이 가장 큰 차이점인 것 같아요.
So for me, I wanted to pursue like a work, something to do with computers. So that's why I was very interested in just working with the computers. And also I joined a club when I was in high school that worked with computers. And I also worked in like a photography shop. But many people, they don't really realize that this is actually learning computer is a part of the like a regular education or core curriculum in North Korea now. And also because, when in North Korea, students normally more than spending time studying, they actually have to go help out at the farms or in other labor work, manual labor work. And even my school, we were right next to the farm. And after school, rather than studying and focusing on like, maybe going to university after high school, we had to go and help out at the farms and do manual labor. And so people were also, thinking after high school, do I need to really go to college? Do I need to study? So that's why many people just give up on studying. For me as well, I was rejected because my mom had already defected, but I also had kind of given up pursuing like academic path. So I don't really know how they teach differently in universities in North Korea and in South Korea, but I think I guess the way they approach education and I think how they received I guess, education philosophy in North Korea is very different because the meaning of it, the why they pursue education is just very different. And I think it's depending, I really, largely depending on their perspectives and their approach in education, I believe.
I want to focus a little bit on information access because that's where we first met you was at a conference about that. And I know that through your studies and actually even through some volunteer work that you've done with Link, I know that you also feel like this is a very important aspect of the issue where we can actually make progress inside the country. Um, I would love to hear a little bit more about what your experience was like inside North Korea with foreign media. How did that change or maybe shape your worldview about the world outside of North Korea, about your own life? Would you mind sharing a little bit about that? And then a follow-up question, maybe after Chris translates, I'd love to learn also about um, why you're so passionate and interested in working on this part of the issue and you're studying that right now.
그리고 이제 정보 유입에 대해서 잠깐 여쭤볼 텐데, 그리고 저희가 맨 처음에 이제 컨퍼런스에서 해나 씨를 만났잖아요. 그래서 저희 링크를 통해서 발론티어도 하시고 그러셨는데, 이것이 왜 해나 씨한테 중요한지, 그리고 이것이 정말 이 정보 유입이 정말 유일하게 북한 내에서의 그런 변화를 가져올 수 있다고 이제 믿으시는지, 그리고 해나 씨가 북한에서 이렇게 외부 정보, 외부 미디어를 받으셨을 때, 보셨을 때 어떠셨는지, 그것이 해나 씨의 그런 세계관을 어떻게 만들어 왔는지를 나눠주실 수 있나요?
Yes. 이제 먼저 해줬던 질문 중에는 정보 유입이 왜 중요한지? 사실 지금 북한에 뭐 이제 김일성, 이제 막 김씨 일가가 많이 3대를 이제 바뀌면서 뭐 이제 세계도 바뀌고 있고 북한도 바뀌고 있지만 사실 뭐 어떻게 보면은 바뀌고 있지만 큰 틀에서 봤을 때는 그들이 아직도 세계와 소통하지 못하고 계속 갇혀서 산다라는 게 이제 가장 큰 문제인데 이것을 외부에서 해결하는 것도 중요하지만 물론 외부에서 도와줘야 가능하지만 그 안에서 그 사람들이 이제 본인 스스로의 변화를 만들어 가고 그러기 위해서는 어떤 외부 정보나 다른 세계가 있다라는 거를 이제 아는 게 가장 중요하다고 생각해서 이제 정보 유입이 가장 지금 시점에서 가장 중요하다고 생각이 들고요. 그리고 북한에서 제가 외부 정보를 접했을 때는 사실은 이제 한국에 가야 되는 거는 알지만 내가 왜 가야 되는지 그 사회를 모르기 때문에 가서 내가 뭘 할 수 있는지 그리고 또 어떤 위험이 있는지도 사실 잘 몰랐는데 뭐 드라마기는 하지만 그래도 그런 곳에서 아, 이런 일도 있고 저런 일도 있고 아, 이런 사회가 있구나라는 그런 것들을 알게 됐고 또 이제 엄마가 한국에 있어서 가야 되는 건 알지만 이제 엄마가 어떤 일을 하고 계시는지 그런 것도 이제 추측이 가능했어서 이제 제가 올 때는 확신을 갖고 이제 용기를 내서 올 수 있었던 계기가 돼서 정보 유입은 이제 가장 중요하다고 저는 생각을 합니다.
So the reason I think that information dissemination is so important is over the years, North Korea has gone through the three Kim leaders, and even though many changes have happened, the world has changed so much as well. But I feel like inside North Korea, even though it is changing, but it's not really exchanging information with the outside world, and there's not enough information going into the country. So I think that is a big issue. Of course, external assistance is necessary, and of course, that is what's going to help change North Korea. But it's really the people inside North Korea that they have to realize themselves that changes are needed. And they have to know that there's other information, other pieces of information, and the whole other world out there that they don't know. I think for them to know that is so important, especially at this juncture. And for me as well, when I access outside information inside North Korea, I knew that I would eventually go to South Korea, but I didn't know why I had to go, and because I didn't know much about the South Korean society and what I could do there, and what types of risks I will be taking, what types of danger I will face when I go to South Korea. But by watching Korean dramas and TV shows, I learned that there's so many different aspects of South Korean life. Oh, this happened and that could also happen, and this is a society that they have, and all that information was really helpful. And of course, because I had my mom who was in South Korea, and through the TV show, I could actually assume, oh, this is a type of work that she will be doing in South Korea, or she's currently doing in South Korea. So I think by the time that I was leaving North Korea, I knew, and I was very confident that I would be able to live this life in South Korea. And this is the reason why I think information dissemination is so important. Do you want me to ask the second question, Hannah?
Yeah.
오케이. 두 번째 여쭤보신 것은 그러면 이 일을 또 하나 씨가 굉장히 중요하게 생각하시고 또 이 일을 계속해서 공부하시는 이거를 하시기 위해서 계속해서 이렇게 전자공학이라든지 이런 공부하시는 이유가 있을까요?
네, 사실은 이제 그들이 내가 드라마를 당연히 보고 싶고, 이제 뭐 한국 드라마를 비롯해서 다른 나라의 드라마나 영화나 어떤 콘텐츠를 접하고 싶지만 그들에게는 이제 엄청난 위험이 따르고 그 드라마 하나 본 거로 이제 어린 청소년들이 이제 죽을 수도 있고 또 그렇게 보여주기 식으로 이제 보여주기도 하니까 이제 드라마나 이런 것들을 접하는 게 굉장한 위험이 따르니까 정보가 있더라도 그들이 나 그냥 볼 수 있다라고 쉽게 그런 마음을 가질 수 없는 그런 환경이기 때문에 그들이 더 안정적으로 더 이제 좀 안전하게 그들이 안심하고 볼 수 있는 어떤 디바이스라든지 소프트웨어라든지 이런 것들을 조금 개발하고 같이 이제 협력해서 그런 것들을 만들 수 있었으면 하는 바람이 있어서 계속 이 길을 가고 싶은 이유 중에 하나인 것 같습니다.
I think many people want to access Korean media and especially Korean dramas, especially young people. But it's very risky to do that in North Korea. And it could just, the consequences that they will face is really dire. So I think for me to continue to work on this issue is I want to create an environment where they can safely access this type of information safely and also with assurance that there will be, it's okay for them to watch, access this information or media. Whether that's developing new device or software, I want to help work on this issue so that more people can access this. That's one of the reasons why I want to pursue this path.
That's awesome. Thanks, Anna. Um, we're gonna wrap it up here with the last few questions. I thought since I know we've talked about music before, I thought maybe you could share a little bit about since you've left North Korea and you've come to South Korea and you have access to just so much music now that from around the world. What is your favorite music, TV, film, or other art that you have encountered since you've left North Korea? Maybe if you have like a favorite movie or a favorite movie or music type of music you like?
그래서 음악에 대해서 물어보신 분들이 계셨는데 북한을 떠난 이후로 굉장히 많은 뭐 음악도 들으셨을 거고 영화나 뭐 여러 가지 예술 작품이라든지 그런 걸 접하셨을 텐데 가장 좋아하는 음악 아니면 영화 뭐 예술 뭐 작품이라든지 그런 것들이 있을까요?
아, 정말 굉장히 이제 저는 뭐 어떤 예능이나 이런 걸 보면서 사람들이 살아가는 걸 보는 것, 보고 듣는 거를 굉장히 좋아해서 많이 보는 편인데, 노래도 굉장히 많이 듣고 이제 위로도 많이 받을 때가 많은데, 어, 제목을 얘기하기에는 좀 그렇고, 이제 가장 기억에 남는 영화는 이제 노트북이라는 조금 오래된 영화기는 한데, 이거를 두 번, 세 번을 봤던 이유는 조금 누군가는 뭐 오글거리는 이제 로맨스 영화다라고 하지만, 사실 북한에서는 그런 사랑이나 그런 표현이나 누군가를 위해서 그렇게 할 수 있는 거를 뭐, 저는 개인적으로 이제 부모님한테서는 배웠던 적이 없어서, 그런 거를 보면서 뭔가 좀 제가 없었던 감정을 채울 수 있는 그런 영화여서 굉장히 좋아합니다.
Since I do love watching movies or listening to music, and sometimes some pieces of music will really comfort me and encourage me. But what I do remember is the movie called Notebook. It's a little old. I guess it's been out for a while, but I watched it a couple of times because, some might say that it's a very cheesy romance film, but in North Korea, to be able to express your love like that, to that extent, you can really do that. And to be able to do something like go through that extent in order to show that you love that person. I don't think I saw that from my own parents. So I think, watching that, I think it kind of gave me an opportunity for me to experience something that I had never felt or like a void of my life where the feelings were kind of lost. I guess I got to experience that vicariously. So I think that's one movie that I really love.
Thanks for sharing, Hannah. Makes me a little bit sad that The Notebook is considered an old movie now. Okay, the last question to wrap everything up is what is one thing that you hope that everybody who has joined today's event or comes back to watch this would leave here knowing about the North Korean people?
오늘 여기 온 분들이 이제 이거 이제 이벤트가 끝나고 나서 가시면서 어떤 것을 좀 가져가셨으면 좋겠나요? 북한에 대해서 어떤 것을 아시고 가셨으면 좋겠다고 소망하시나요?
어, 이제 개인적인 소망이기도 하지만 어떻게 보면 나아가서 이제 계속 꾸준한 관심을 받아야 되는 이유라고 생각을 하는데, 이제 뭐 북한이라는 이슈가 계속 줄어들고 그냥 핵이나 김정은에 이제 포커싱이 되어 있는 대부분의 어떤 뉴스나 뭐 그런 것들이 많이 나와 있지만, 사실 북한 안에서 살고 있는 사람들은 오늘도 지금도 이제 한국도 오늘은 영하를 이제 내려가서 매우 춥지만, 북한 같은 경우는 영하 20도, 18도를 이제 체감 온도는 그 이상도 내려가고 있고, 지금도 너무 춥고 있지만, 땔감도 그런 어떠한 뭐 그런 것들이 여전히 부족하고, 식량 문제도 여전히 부족하고 있어서 저희 가족들도 이제 올해도 살기 너무 힘드니까 조금 도와달라라고 이제 계속 연락이 오고 있는, 그러니까 그렇게 이제 도움을 요청하고 있으니까 그들은 오늘도 지금도 계속 생존을 위해서 계속 열심히 살아가고 있으니까, 이들에게 이제 관심을 끄면 안 되고 계속 생각하시고 계속 도와주셨으면 하는 그런 이제 소망이 있습니다.
So this could be just my personal wish, but also the reason why North Korea has continued to be an important issue, why I hope that people will continue to be interested in North Korean issue is because the media and the world is continuing to focus on the nuclear weapons and also Kim Jong-un. But there are people inside North Korea who is still surviving, barely surviving. And today it's really cold in South Korea. It's below sub-zero temperature right now, Celsius. But in North Korea, it's maybe minus 20 degrees Celsius. And it's just freezing cold in North Korea. And they don't have enough firewood, fuel, and even food. They're lacking on all the basic necessities. And even my own families, they are calling me and contacting us, asking for more help so that we could help them with food and whatnot. And every day, North Korean people have to work hard to survive. So that's one of the reasons why we cannot lose interest in North Korea. So I pray that you will also continue to help and think of North Korean people.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I know that people have so many more questions, and I'm sorry that we didn't get to all of your questions today. But I feel like we had such a great opportunity to hear a little bit more about your journey, your story, Hannah, and just about your passion and the ways in which you are working so hard to change this issue, for which I am so personally thankful, that you continue to partner with Link and in this movement to help us to create progress on this issue. So thank you so much for joining us today, Hannah. Thank you, Chris, for your incredible interpretation. Always blows me away, and we're so thankful for that. And to thank you to everyone for joining us today. I would be absolutely remiss to end it here and to sign off without offering everybody an opportunity to be a part of helping to change the future of North Korea. And so, in celebration of Giving Tuesday, we do have a special opportunity. Today, every dollar that is donated will be matched up to $20,000. We had a large match. We might have less than that now, but we still have some left. And so, this is thanks to a very generous supporter. Thank you so much to everyone who has already donated and supported our work. And actually, today, every donation will go 100% to rescue. So this is in honor of Giving Tuesday, in honor of Hannah's story, and in honor of our work in the Underground Railroad. If you've been receiving our emails, you would have seen a special note today that actually mentioned that we are currently in contact with a group who is waiting in China for an opportunity to leave. And it would be my greatest hope that we could help bring them to freedom before the end of this year. And so I want to go ahead and share a super quick QR here on screen just for a moment. And I know we'll get dropped into the chat as well. And so if you are able to make a donation and to support our rescue work, so that we can hopefully help more people like Hannah reach freedom, we would be so grateful for your support today, and I hope that we can maximize that match gift within the next few hours before the end of tonight. I want to thank you all so much. I know many of you who are here are already our incredible supporters. Thank you so much for your support throughout the year, for standing with the North Korean people, for believing in this audacious vision that we have together with our North Korean friends, and this belief that every North Korean person not only deserves to be, but will be free in our lifetime. Thank you all so much again for joining us today on Giving Tuesday, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.